It's amazing how fast creepypastas went from a few people sharing weird stories to one of the most watched things on YouTube. They are huge now and people are coming up with new ones constantly, and some of those are really bang on horror stories, but the ones that really knock it out of the park are the classics, the creepypastas that we all know and love, and some of them are so big that they've broken into the mainstream. I want to welcome back everyone from the Most Amazing Top 10 family. I'm your host, Che Dorena, and this is of course Most Amazing Top 10. Many of you watching are huge creepypasta fans, and that is why today's video is going to be Top 10 Scary Reddit Creepypastas. As always, I would love it if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Also stick around for the whole list because I'm going to be doing some more pet shoutouts that you guys love so much. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram. And without taking any longer, let's get into this list. At number 10, we have the Russian sleep experiment. This was the first creepypasta that I ever read, and I loved it so much. It's really for sure one of the best of all time. The setting is great. Government scientists doing human testing on prisoners with a drug that has never been used before. A very classic horror theme, and it is truly one of my favorites. If you are unfamiliar with this creepypasta, a group of 4 Russian prisoners were told by the Russian government that they would be let go and released from their sentence if they were allowed to be experimented on. They're like, sure, why not? Then they're taken into a room that is pumped full of a strange gas that's supposed to make it so they cannot fall asleep, and that's exactly what it does. This then leads to them slowly going insane, and it is this breakdown that gives the story so much pop. There is a ton of gore and violence and other disturbing imagery in this creepypasta, but what really sends it home is the vibe of it all being what really sends it home is the terrifying vibe of these men slowly going insane. The only downside is at the end there is one line that one of the prisoners says that is kind of cheesy and it really takes away from the story, but all in all this is a very, very good creepypasta. At number 9 we have GOATMAN, taking urban legends from Aboriginal tribes, then turning them to something to be very afraid of. Once again, this is something that we've seen again and again in horror movies for good reason. This story follows a group of boys who go into the woods at night. They hear some rustling and then they see it. A half man, half beast. It has the head of a goat and the body of a human. Also, GOATMAN is jacked. That is the first thing I noticed when I see him. I'm like, this dude might be a supernatural creature, but how is he getting that killer six-pack? I need to know your secrets, dude. But this story was inspired by old Aboriginal stories of shapeshifters who could look like any animal and sometimes even turn into people. At number 8 we have Jeff the Killer. I gotta say that Jeff the Killer is not one of my personal favorite creepypastas, but it has been very popular over the years, so I thought I should definitely include it on this list. He is exactly what his name implies. He's a killer and he is coming for you. He has a pale face and a massive grin and a face that looks like his cheeks were slit, a lot like another murderous white-faced smiling psychopath that we all know and love, the Joker. Jeff the Killer is so close to the Joker that it kind of takes a little bit away from the story for me, and on top of that his name is Jeff, which isn't really that spooky of a name. Now I will give this creepypasta credit where credit is due. The story is legitimately creepy and had me looking over my shoulder as I was reading it. There's a good reason why this guy is so popular. At number 7 we have Tales from the Gas Station. Some of the best horror movies of all time are serialized to the point where we almost don't even like them anymore. I mean, when you think about the Saw movies, there's so many of them. How many Halloween movies are there? And then Friday the 13th as well. So many sequels with all these movies. So it only makes sense that there would be a creepypasta that would follow in the same vein of these other things that we know in the horror genre. This is a series of stories from someone who is just working at a gas station and they witness a ton of strange supernatural happenings. The biggest mystery is why this person doesn't quit. Why would you deal with so much hauntings when you're only getting paid minimum wage? At number 6 we have the Rake, a supernatural creature living in the woods. This story is as old as time. Reddit took this one and they gave it a little bit of a modern spin. One of the stories about the Rake is about a woman who sees something walking in the woods outside of her home. Then a few nights later something breaks into her home and tries to steal her child away from her. It leaves large scratches all over the kid's body before it's scared off and then runs back into the woods, never to be seen again. Some of these stories about the Rake says that this creature has been alive for thousands of years, waiting for the right time to strike and kill people. Think of it as like a Bigfoot but with a way scarier face and body. Bigfoot looked kind of dumb and dopey, but the Rake has a pale face with pits for eyes and sharpened teeth, not to mention that it has claw-like hands that will rip the flesh right off of your bones. So this is what I'm talking about when I say they give it a modern twist. It'll be one of the scariest monster in the woods stories that you have ever read. At number 5 we have ANNORA, PETROVA, a classic story of being careful what you wish for. If you found out out that there was a Wikipedia page about you, then you would probably think two things. First would be like, oh my god, I made it, everyone knows who I am. And then the second thing would be like, who the hell wrote this? Now, what if you found a page where everything you wrote came true? What if you had the ability to warp reality to whatever you saw fit? It would be very hard to avoid not changing your own fate into something that was more desirable. Well, that is what this story follows. It's all the twists and turns of someone wishing for something and then seeing all the negative outcomes come from all their decisions. The craziest part about this story is as you're reading it, you're watching someone's life fall apart, but there's still a part of you that wants to take advantage of this ability and change your world into whatever you see fit. At number 4, we have I'm a 911 operator and I just had the most terrifying call. How much needs to be packed into a creepypasta and make it really terrifying? Well, actually, not that much. That's one of the best parts of horror, is the lack of information. The unknown keeps us scared and afraid to turn off the lights before we go to bed. And this creepypasta is just that, a short and sweet story of a 911 phone call that starts out as just some drunk guy walking around in the front of someone's lawn and then quickly changes into what seems to be a supernatural happening. And I won't tell you too much more about this story because it's so short and it's so good that you should definitely just take the time and go read it for yourself. At number 3, we have Candle Cove. This is one of the best uses of the Mandela effect I have ever seen when we're talking in the realm of horror, of course. The idea is that there was a kid show that a bunch of people remember, but no one can find any history of it. A Reddit thread started of people chatting on forums about it, all having the same memory of this creepy kids show that they can't seem to find any evidence of. This just keeps pulling on the strings of, was it real or was it not? How can a group of people all have the same memory that doesn't exist? If you want to get an even deeper dive into this concept, you should check out the show Channel Zero, which is based on this creepypasta. At the number 2 spot, we have Laughing Jack. This is the story of a Pennywise type character warped into a disturbing guardian angel. Laughing Jack was once a colorful clown who was also a guardian angel of a kid who was deeply disturbed. Laughing Jack tried to make this kid happy, but nothing worked. Laughing Jack was rejected and slowly became depressed. Then the kid got older and began to torture and kill people. This was all happening while Laughing Jack was watching. One day Laughing Jack snapped, killed the kid, and was now free. But all the years of being neglected and seeing horrible things happen had turned him into a horrible monster, and he continued to torture people as his previous owner did. Now all his hatred was directed at children. He would pretend to befriend little boys and girls, and once they trusted him, he would cut out their guts and replace it with hard candy and leave them there for their parents to find. Not a very nice dude. And for the number 1 spot, we have Slenderman. This guy is the head honcho when it comes to creepypastas. I don't know if you guys have been watching the Michael Jordan documentary, but Slenderman is the Michael Jordan of creepypastas. This guy has video games about him. He's got movies about him. There was even an attempted murder dedicated to this guy. This is probably the wildest story about the whole thing. There were 2 girls who told another girl to come join them in the woods for a game of hide and seek, but when they got there, the 2 girls stabbed the other girl repeatedly and left her there for dead. Luckily, the wounded girl was able to crawl out of the woods. She was spotted by someone passing by on a bicycle. The girls who committed the crime were later arrested and sentenced, and they said the reason that they stabbed the girl was that she was a sacrifice for Slenderman. Whoa, that is creepy. Alright everyone, that has been our list, and as promised, I'm going to be doing some more pet shoutouts. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram. I pick new pets every day, so if you don't get picked one day, you can message back another day. I usually pick who messaged last, so you can just message again and again and again. If it takes me a little while to get back to you, I'm very sorry. I have a lot of these to do. And without taking any longer, let's shout out some pets. First off, we have these twins that were sent to us all the way from Bangladesh. Look at how cute these little twin cats are. Then we have Eli, who looks amazing with that little bow tie. Oh my god, that is one of the cutest things I've ever seen. After that, we have Bella, who is having an amazing birthday. Aren't we all excited for her? Happy birthday, Bella. Next up, we have Finn, who has some of the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen. That dog's eyes are gorgeous. I could stare into them all day. After that, we have Diego, who is all bundled up in his little chair, looking super cute. All right, everyone, that is all we have for you today. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I have been your host, Chaderena, and keep reading creepypastas. Bye.